we stand tall. Words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall. Words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited mind sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall. Words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean. Spirited minds sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Heard. Will be heard. Will be heard.
Spartans! What is your profession? is Sparta!
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it at a different night, but the same channel. This is Sports NCU Network, guys. Welcome back. I am your host, Ghost or Spada. Um, can't do this by myself, so I got my boy in the back. Some people call him the Sleeping Beauty. Some people call him Baby Groot. We just call him Big Groot around here. Here we go. There he is. We gotta find you like a nickname between Sleeping Beauty and Groot together.
First and foremost is beer power. I'm a big dude. I'm not a skinny dude. Groot is skinny. He ain't big. I'm a big fella. We're from Africa. Yeah, we hang out with gorillas, so that make me kind of big and strong and massive. No, I'm not fat, but I do have a shape on it. That's why I take bear paw. So they call me Groot, but they keep forgetting I'm bigger than the Groot. So I am bear paw. Let's get that straight. Shout out to Reckless Ray for giving me that nickname. 'Cause that fit me because unless you want to get hit by a bear paw, you can line up for it.
I got a solution to that problem. If you come at me like a bear, it's very simple.
Yeah, but this is the African bear that like to hide in shadows. So wait till you make a mistake.
Oh, I have a better. That's even better. So,
Like in most Dragon Ball, they smack it. Okay, and
anyway, I'm not going back and forth with this shit. First of all, how you doing, my man, tonight? How are you? How are you tonight?
I was out of it for a while. Thank you caught me on time because there was a lot on my mind today. I was just irritated. I don't know why I was just so irritated, but I'm good for now. Try not to get too much stressed out because yesterday I had a headache real bad. I don't know what happened to me. Just the back of my eyes, my head was going crazy. So kind of like, let me just rest my mind for a second. I put too much focus on a lot of things.
Hmm. All right, you read the topic. Let's have your opening thoughts. Why do we not listen to our elders anymore?
Hmm. This is something that I think is very common on American soil. And I find that strange. Anyone from any different ethnic background besides American come from a culture that they have to listen to their elders.
Mm-hmm.
It's very essential for their survival. Because when you listen to your elder, you understand your past, you understand your history, you understand your lineage. It give you insight on how to make your decision for your own future. But something about this soil, I don't know what's in their water, what they're eating. For some apparent reason, they feel as if one, I don't have to listen to nobody. And to me, I'm sorry, I'm one of those kind of individual. If you try to give wisdom and insight to a younger generation, especially people in your family like your children or so, and they act like they can do better without you or that they know better than you, I would prefer that if that was the case, they should stay that way. So that when that time comes, the shit hit the fan and they realize they effed up, you shouldn't even think of calling me because I'm not going to bail them out. I would rather have them go through what they go through, figure it out. But the moment they call me, I'll go remind them. Remember what I just said years ago? And you brushed me off. And now that shit hit the fan and it came to pass what I warned you about. Now you want me to come and bail you out? Do me a favor, lose my number. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those type of parents. If I have been warning you since youth to get to adult age, and the thing I warn you about come to pass, you don't need bailing out from me anymore. Because first and foremost, the moment you choose not to listen to me or take my advice, the moment that door is closed, I don't want to hear I'm a bad parent or because I didn't bail you out. Excuse me. No, correction, you're a bad child because you didn't want to listen.
I think it makes you a better parent to actually let them sit there and suffer before you bail them out.
No, 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 not bailing out. There's no point on needing to bail out. I want them to figure it out themselves because one, if I have to give you wisdom upon wisdom for years on end, and you want to brush me off, then when the time comes that you really need my help, and I choose not to, I know there's some kid like that that one did that before. It was a white guy. He went viral when he got a ungrateful, entitled a prick of a daughter who worked in California, worked in the movie industry, was lying on her father, which forced her father to beg out receipt upon receipt upon receipt upon receipt, who made her look like a unjust, ungrateful prick of an entitled bitch. I didn't say I just spelled out. And she started to look so bad because everybody started to realize, like, wait a minute, you say your dad what a deadbeat, but your dad bought a whole album, not in the album, catalogs of receipt. So where was he the debit and all this? And he spent money and your mom lied and do all, this is what happens when you have people who don't take warning, but go through life act as if their dad or mom was never there. That one thing hit the fan that happened. I remember the incident happened in our community almost a decade ago, right in our area. And mom said she warned her daughter to don't even sneak out the house. Her daughter was a preteen, very disrespectful, very rude. The mom warned her. The mom warned her. Said one of these days, God don't like ugly. You gonna regret one of these days. So one night, the daughter did sneak out and got her mom, which in her mom order. She got outside there, went and hang out with some group of people. Something took off, and she ended up losing her life. Now, when it time for the interview about what happened, the mom was not crying. She said, I'm not gonna cry for her. I warned her. I remember watching it with a black mom. She said, I warned my daughter. She chose not to listen. I told her that we sneak out of the house one more time, there will come a day that God will make sure drop the hammer. I'm not gonna cry tears for you. And she did not. She didn't mourn for her. She just made she was like, it's no longer my responsibility, it's no more my cup of tea anymore. I shouldn't no more tears. The same thing one person at my significant other, the person's son in that particular church used to attend, same thing happened. Didn't listen to the elder. Hang out with one group of people, a rival gang came in, popped up, even though he's not affiliated with it, but he know one of the guys in there, he ended up losing his life in that process. I found like these young girls they think they're smarter, but they're the one that dropping quicker than us like cockroach. So I say to myself, when are my young children don't take my advice and something happen, they earn that well deserving fate. I'm not gonna cry for them. I'm not gonna move on. I will move on as if God just help me right off my debt. It sounds harsh, but biblically speaking, in the book of Proverbs, if you warn your children several times over and they chose not to listen, whatever fate that come down, they earn that one with full class. So that being said, it's not my concern, it's not my problem, it's not my worry. I will not shed a tear. I will not feel any kind of way. I will look at it. The Lord is telling me I took control over this situation. So they choose not to listen, then they're in my jurisdiction. Well, I'm not touching that jurisdiction. Take my hand off. And that's what's going on today's generation. They don't listen to their elder. They think they know more, but yet they don't realize when you don't listen to your elder, you lose wisdom, insight, understanding, and a lot more. But not everybody is an elder. I get that part of it. But when you have someone who's been consistent and you chose not to, look what happened with Kevin Samuel. He was being consistent, giving people warning. Yes, they celebrated his death. Then what happened afterwards? Winter came in full blast. But they got have speaking it in long before the YouTube channel because he understood something. And what he was talking about, well, it wasn't even new to begin with. Almost every culture have that understanding of what he was talking about, but they didn't call it what he called it. I think the problem with people, they don't want to know their history. They don't know their past. They don't want to know their lineage. So little yet they don't know their people. Like Raven Simone, I'm not an African American, I'm an American. Technically speaking, if you remember the Constitution, what did the Constitution say about black people? You just sound like a contradiction right off the back. The more you want to call you American, if the Constitution says otherwise, then you're not. If the amendment have not been fixed to make you equal of a real human being, but you call you 3/5 of a human being, like seriously, that part have not been removed, and yet you want to act as if you're not part of something. If you would have traced your family tree, then hello, who are you kidding? People want to be, I don't know, intellectually smart, but sound like intellectually stupid. I'm like, I hate to say today's society is like a comedy, a huge, massive comedy. You seen people screwing up in where they should never screw up at all. It was so obvious that you kind of like, God damn. You might be one of those stupid kids that never listen, and now it caught up to you in the worst way possible,
Bit them in the
and
ass. Let's be
you
honest here. Like people don't listen usually think they know better. Most of these kids thinking like, "What do you know, old head? I know more." You know, like things because they're from the street. I love when I hear those fucking words.
Ugh. No, they're from the street of ignorance, right? I know. Yes, the street teach so much ignorance that it backfired 10 times over, but yet you still follow it.
Here's my thing with the streets, and I think you're gonna agree with me, David. The only thing that you're gonna learn from the street is how to get locked up because it doesn't teach you street smarts. It doesn't teach you anything. Street smarts come over time. You learn from us, the old heads, like you guys say.
or the OG. That's what they call it.
I don't know.
You
Old
call
heads
them
is the
old
new version
head
now.
or OG.
OG.
Oh, new, no. The old head is what they wanted to say OG because old head is under OG.
Hmm.
The OG have a code of ethic. The old head trying to walk away from the code of ethic. But these young
Punks.
G or young N lack code of ethic. When you lack code of ethic, then by all means, you don't have to worry about the bear getting you. Let the gorilla whoop you. Hey, I saw something that was very comical. They were acting, what the difference? Who will win between 100 men and one gorilla? And I don't want to be vicious, but I have to. 100 African men cannot last against one gorilla. 100 African men can not only overpower but also outsmart a one gorilla. There's a difference. One is familiar with one other territory, other one not.
Well,
There's some region in Africa where run free, and there are African people who know those territory very well and have passed down their history and understanding of that particular turf for multiple
mhm.
generations. And they have been told some either help keep them at bay and some know how to interact with them. Last I checked, African Americans don't know nothing about it. So that being said, uh, 100 African American men will automatically lose to a gorilla. Logic, like come on, like when I see those things, it before that one, it was like man or bear, who you gonna choose? Then you might want to choose the bear. Yeah, you think bear care about you?
All right,
What kind of
let's
bear
let's
will
stick
listen
on
to you?
topic here for a second, Paul. I mean, David.
No, are they adding to the topic? That's common sense. Look at all the species of bear that we have. We got a grizzly bear. We got a polar bear. What else got a bear? Each brand have its own massive disadvantages. All in common don't give two crap about human beings. So what logic will you make you think that when you never been in that environment? But yeah, it will tell when you see a bear, fake your death, right? Don't move, right? Be aware of your surrounding, right?
Hmm.
Am I right? But those elders who's been in those area trying to warn young people, what those young people are saying, I don't need to listen to you. I know more than you.
And I get that all the time from the young little punk who don't even know how to flip an omelet.
And how
And
many
trust me,
bear
but before
attack?
we move on,
How,
before we move on, let's play
okay,
the first video and let's come back to it.
all right.
Before I play the first video, I gotta say, as a hardcore beard guy, he has an awesome beard. You gotta give him credit, dude. David, you're even jealous of that beard.
He can hide his water in his beard. Give me the drums.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
I don't think you get the joke. He can hide because you know what? In case of a pickpocket, why you gonna reach for his beard? Unless you don't want to get hurt.
I hate you right now. I so fucking hate you right now. Let's play this fucking video.
I'm a wise thinker, that's why.
We have the power of Google and ChatGPT. But what we don't have is the wisdom and the experience of our elders. And this is something that I see as a big lack currently. We don't spend time with people who are older than us, learning from their experiences. Because it's easier to learn from someone else's experience than to go through the same problem and then learn on our own. So always speak to somebody who's old.
You hit it on the nail. When I
That's why
was
I
trying to
want to
go
play that.
when I'm trying to go into that, you and I both know that we can see on the news about so many bear attacks that happen to in area where it shouldn't happen. Like the Poconos in Pennsylvania. What area is that is next to? Hmm?
Jim
What
Thorpe.
are the what are the regular guests that come in those type of areas who got homes? You got the foxes, you got the raccoon, and what the biggest guest of them all that come to their doorstep?
Bears.
Hmm? Okay. So, who's someone who never lived in those areas? You will run away from a man and go and join the bear. Okay. No, 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 no. Go ahead. You have less dumb people to worry about. I'm vicious. That's my point. This man hit it on the nail. When you there's ample information you can learn from someone's past experience when society was different than what you grew up in. So you get a understanding based on where you live and see the past line where this was going to. But instead you want people to think, "Oh, I don't need to learn my history. I know better than them. They were you there during their time? You know the obstacles they had to go through? It's not the same. If anyone study history, you'll know that society go through changes over the period of time. But if you understand the pattern, how this society is changing and what path they're taking, you not learn how to avoid and repeat the same thing that just happened before them. We have watched people want to do repeat the same BS that was we talked about that happened in our elder times.
Hmm.
But it happened in a worse way compared to what our elder went through. But people don't want to know the history. I don't give two. And I'm watching. I'm like, there might be some kind of virus or something in the water that making these people come up highly unintelligent, lack of awareness. I don't know, weak and lame, useless and worthless. I could say so many things, and I've learned to keep quiet. You're not gonna believe it was the best advice one of my elders gave me, which was back in my high school, my country. He told me this: when you get outside in the world, don't be the loudest person. Be the most quiet individual. Learn to blend in the shadow. Step back and watch what goes on around your surrounding. Get a level of understanding of what is going on around you so you be aware and
And
know
I
how to
think
deal
that's a
with
great idea to give advice to. Blend with the shadows like an assassin.
it. And I've been doing that for years. It's more like being a tactician. This is why I like being tactical about my approach, which is very logical compared to people who run as if they never had a brain cell to begin with.
Um, well, David, how can you blend with in the shadows? I mean, blend with your surroundings if you're so dark.
It make it easy for me so you don't pay attention to me. So when I'm right there, you don't realize I'm there. Yeah, of course. I used to be darker than this back in my high school days. They call me shadow. I think that's a good thing. You know the joke they tell me I was so dark and they turn the light on and sees my eye and my teeth. I sure have to get for it. But I'm not wearing no
Oh, Jesus
shade
Christ.
and I wear no mask. That's even better. So I could be right in front of you or behind you when I see me coming. So it's easy for me to take
You're
you
an
out.
idiot, dude. You know that, right? All
I
right, I'll get
know,
back.
but I enjoy it though. It's great to be in dark because sometimes I can lay on the wall and y'all gossip about somebody or you gossip about me not really right there in front of me and you didn't even notice. I'm like, this is so good. I'm getting the scoop without even working for it. Hey, we are taught use what it called a consider your disadvantage your advantage. So being a dark
All
skinned
right,
brother is the
let's
greatest.
swing back to the topic. You like square, 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 squirrel.
No, I'm more like a snake.
See what I mean? You're already off topic. Get back on topic.
No, no, it don't. It hit it. What you see in the Bible? It say be weak. They be weak at a, no, be as smart as a serpent, be weak at a lamb. The Bible say that too several times. You know, it took me a year to understand what it meant by that.
Well, I don't educate us what it means.
I talk to a lot of elders and they say if you when someone say be as wise as a serpent but weak as a lamb,
Hmm.
look at the character of a snake, what it does, what it does not do. You will never see a snake want to put himself in a situation where they cannot overcome. Always be aware. It's like it's like a predator, but in a way it observes its surroundings first before it attacks. If he knows the disadvantage against them, it doesn't pop up. I like and a lamb is more like one of the more common features about lamb is always gets sacrificed. It always naive, the level of naive, but you can play that part and act as if that you don't know what's going on around you, but also have the mind of a snake whereby you're not clueless of what's going on around you. Well, because sometimes you use animal captivated to understand how they respond to nature, how they respond to the environment. You can be too prideful like a lion because sometimes lion pride can lead to their fall. How many
Oh,
times
that's true.
how many times you see lion get jumped by other animals and get the
All the
worst
time, dude. All the time.
thing? Oh, what is the most dangerous speech among the cat? The Black Panther. It's not always that Black Panther is in the dark shadow watching your ass.
Oh, I'm not
You
denying any of this you're saying, David. What I'm saying is, I was just being a little smart ass, and like, is it kind of hard for blending during the day? At
uh
night,
it's not hard when there's so many shadows you can just blend right
you didn't get my
into, or
joke,
you wear dark clothes. I trust me. Plus, you know, I'm out in the sun. I want to worry about skin cancer.
bro.
You don't understand that. I when you have elders who like to talk to you in riddles, you know what I do to your head? No, ghosts. Tell me, you from a different culture. How many elder when you have been around where they give you riddles or
All the time. It felt like I got
parables?
scrambled eggs in my head.
Where every time they tell you something and you would be a young bud, you'd be like, "Rrr," and you think that you ignored it, but you don't really. I think keep ringing in your head over time. Like, what did he mean by that? Then when you start to get older, it clicks. You're like, oh shoot, so that's what you were talking about. Like, why it took me 2 years to understand that? But sometimes you have those elders where they tell you something, they don't know how to tell you with a heart. They have a way of telling in a subtle voice, and it stuck with you. Even though you took you a while to understand it, but when something about to happen and that voice just linger in, you're like,
All
oh,
right,
this is what we're
I
talking
want to
about.
touch base on this topic before we move on too far. So,
Hmm.
Marisa, I always taught and be told as a child,
Hmm.
always respect your elders. For my parents, told me if I do something bad or told disrespectful to your elders, God will punish you.
Um,
So, hang on a second. Let's diagnose that for a second. Yes, I was taught the same thing. And I'm pretty sure you too, David. Yeah, your parents said if
not
a
just it's not my parents, not just my parents alone. There's other culture that have that same saying that there's a cycle that you cannot break. And even though you may not be a part of that culture, but it makes sense when they say what you sow, what you reap, what goes around come around. You hear all those type of
yeah,
things.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think will mess you up if you don't listen to it. You be like,
Absolutely.
you be like, "Meh, meh." Then when that time come, when it's too late, what you expect to happen? How many young mumble rappers that we know have dropped like cockroach lately?
Rappers, you said?
I think mumble rappers. Mumble. There is rappers, real rapper MT, and they're mumble rappers. A lot of the
What's the
mumble
difference to
rappers,
you?
a lot of the mumble rappers are dropping like cockroach far more than regular rappers. And there's a different class to them because, for one, the rappers had to go through what are called the rite of passage. They have OGs in their group who pat them inside what to avoid. That they
Hmm.
don't do what though before you have done and they screwed up on. You have to learn from their mistake and don't repeat it. Some of these rappers end up becoming OGs and live past their time because they took the advice of those before them. Compared to a lot of these mama rappers, well, they gotta be taken out so quick, so soon, to the point whereby it's hard to replace them, but with no need to be replacing them. And whatever they left behind become like brass, not like gold. And you and I both see this. You don't have to watch the news. You can hear it in our local area. You can hear it in other area we've been to. Oh, this happened, that happened. If you check the news in the other areas that where you have young generations who don't listen to the elder, the same thing happening.
Before we move on, I do have some breaking news too. I need to share with everybody who has not heard the information yet.
Uh
We
oh.
lost another great actor today. I want to actually hang on. Let me do this. Okay, there we go. Breaking news. Do you remember the guy from Cheers who used to drink in the corner of the bar?
You wear the post office uniform.
I believe so. Hang on. Let me see.
You got
Bring
like a
it up.
gray whitish beard. Always like to drink. Take a break from work. Come in the bar, or
Yeah, something
he
like that.
finishes. Well, he finishes round. He come to the bar in the post office uniform.
Where is it? Okay, here's his name. I'm gonna share my screen with everybody right now.
Look, I
So
watched Cheers. I can remember almost every character. But
yeah,
oh, that's the other one. Yeah, I remember that one.
he died today. He was how old was he?
Day
50s.
76, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah, he's up there in age, so he wasn't like young either. Up right here, 76. I just want to share that information with everybody when we're talking about respect the elders. There goes a great example. He was an actor, also teaching the new generation how to become actors. I don't know why I'm moving my mouse like that, but anyway. I
No,
just want
he's one of the very few older actor who took their time trying to educate people how hard it was back then to get roles in
Mhm.
certain fields under production, but also tell them the art of it because lately you can tell the truth about this. You see a lot of unnecessary acting on TV shows or movies that shouldn't be there to begin with, and they make the product just so stale. Like seriously, do you take classes before you come out and do this? Like, what
Some people are
happened
just
to
natural, bro. Some actors are just fucking natural.
no keyword some, but not a lot of them. I remember all the old school actors said the first way to get your hand wet or your feet wet is do Broadway. That would have
I
called it
believe that.
training ground. Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson said they said that is the testing ground, right? In acting. Same thing in rap. They say if you want to get your feet wet, go to battle rap. Hone your skills. There are a lot of great rappers who never make it to the mainstream is because they don't want to take the easy route and sell themselves short. But when it comes down to rapping, their skill is sharper than a two-edged sword compared to all these mumble rappers, or nothing different than a blunt, dull butter knife. Like I see so many mumble rappers, both male and female, who can rap for jack. Their music is pure,
Let's be honest here.
unfiltered
Like
garbage.
when old people like yourself and myself say this is not music these days, like oh they say you're out of touch. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, no, no. That's the generation who don't follow history. But you want to tell me about music, but you know the history of music, you know where they started from. Before
Mhm.
they rap, what would you call it? Where rap originated from? Mainly from R&B to true R&B. R&B came from where? Jazz. did a history of how music changed over time. But yet we have people who know jack about that. So you want to tell me how am I out of touch when you have no access to the history of it? No, explain that to me. No,
And
make it
that's not a
make
good factor
like
because
make it
that's
make
something.
sense. I you think no one really remember there was a time in music that when they were out of touch. One person mouthed off and lost his career in a rap beat with a particular icon, which messed up his career.
Hmm?
And the person who did the demolishing was LA Cool J. They were a promising rapper. I know you remember this.
I
Who
don't.
was think, come on, they guy with a young head, dark skin, but
I
think
was
he
never,
was better.
David. I was never big into rap. I was more a metalhead.
Okay, he was. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. It's not Cannibal, but something. He think he was better than LA Cool J. LA Cool J went in on this dude and just demolish him. His rap career did not go any further after than that. After that, he fell off. Now, at present time is almost like a repeat, but it wasn't a repeat. It was a mutilation. You have Eminem did MGK so dirty that he left rap and went into pop. Oof. He gave you an exit visa. Nice knowing you. You could take the visa and leave the country of rap and go to another country called
So
pop.
you understand, Eminem is a different breed than most people are.
No, keyword. He's not a different breed. He one of the original breed that went through the rite of passage. They have video of him going through battle rap, whereby you win some, you lose some. He learned from his thing. He learned how to write. You know how to put it. They call it a wordsmith. I mean, I'm with the wordsmith. That's the ancient art of rapping. A lot of these mumble rappers don't know nothing about wordsmith.
All right, let's get into the
So
next video for a second.
I'm
Before
just
we move
connect. I'm just connecting a lot of too many examples of people who don't listen to their elders, think they know what they're doing. Then later on, they make a complete fool of themselves in the public. Oh, voice walking. Ouch.
okay, good, good or bad?
This place. We'll talk about it after the video.
And I think that we have to just kind of, give our grandparents and our parents some grace, and instead of doing what I think the enemy wants us to do, which is to throw out our whole legacy, throw out everything, throw out all the wisdom from our elders, and only look at the things they might have done that could have been considered to be questionable. Stop doing that. Your elders hold the secrets to your freedom. Some of them have more freedom than you have with your little bullshit corporate job and your little student loans, and you can't get out the hole and you can't quit your job. You scared to death, but you had a granddaddy who owned 10 acres of farmland, who had all his bills paid, who didn't have no debt, who made sure that his family was taken care of. So stop looking down on your elders. That's your secret to why in the world are you listening to people who don't like you more than you're listening to people who loved you, the people who created you? That right there. I could literally finish the whole conversation on that. The fact that they got you to disconnect from your power base is one of the most sinister things they could have ever done to you. Absolutely horrible. And I think that we have to just kind of, get.
That right there. I'm not gonna kill the messenger, even I don't like him. But what he said right there is beyond the bullseye.
It doesn't matter if you like him or not, David. If he's right, he's right. He's wrong, he's wrong.
I know, but right there, that is beyond bullseye. I can't even say spot on. He destroyed the
It's never going
bullseye
to
and
on
hit
his
them.
opinion.
No, that is not an opinion. That is one of the diamond of the rat wisdom that too many young generation walk away from. I remember BMU talked about how his grandma and grandpa did the same exact that. They work at a team, at a married couple. They learn how to. And here's the funny thing: there was no stock market for those couple. There was no cryptocurrency for those couple. They learned how to stretch their money and let that money grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in return, the old age, they were able to own properties,
Mm-hmm.
multiple properties, and generate a legacy of wealth. You got many young generation who don't know how to utilize that skills. And there was a person who did just that. They won a lawsuit in California and got back their ancestral land. Instead of keeping it, they sell it for a very, very fraction of the cost. I'm like, you serious, right? You really serious? And later on, I'm sure that family went into debt already. And they're trying to figure, oh my God, what would it? I'm like, you serious, right? Your your family literally put in their effort to make sure they have something passed down for the next generation, so they don't have to suffer what they got to go through. But you end up getting it back, and you sold it for cheap of a price. What that man said is totally clear. Yeah, so many people think they are big men. Yeah, you work for corporate job, but corporate America is doing mass layoff. Your job is not secure. Your own student loan over the period of time it climb up with interest whereby your bank account is nothing but a prey for the bank with a line to devour it. Like, let's be real here. Like, what makes you think you're smarter than your elders? The only happened in your elder time it the other generation was hating on your elder to the point whereby the only they can do is trying to unalive them to take their wealth because they couldn't do what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a significant amount of information in your elder history that one can learn from, that you can utilize from you if you follow suit, so that you don't have to be tied down. Meaning, well, you could have a job and you don't like how your job is operating or treating you, and you realize you can do better. So it's easy for you to walk away than to feel like you can't walk away at all. That's the thing, and
And I
that's
get
something
all
I'm.
that, David. I get that. You know what I'm saying? It's something. This is what pisses me off as a younger crowd. They think when we try to talk about things, we're lecturing. We're not lecturing. We're trying to educate. Lecturing and educating is two different things. Either, in my opinion, at least.
No, they know what it is because you know why most of these they hate school. Think about it. They know everything lecture and educate. But yet they're the same group of people who go to school and feel like they don't need to go to school. They don't need to get no solid education. They don't need
Hmm.
to learn nothing. And there's a reason why that happened when you have an educational system have been dumbing down over a long period of time. They don't have survival skills.
So that
How many people among the young generation know anything about woodwork, working with their hand? I I learned that too.
I used to love wood shop.
Wood shop, I'll be real with you. I wish I invested more into wood shop more
Hmm.
before I left high school. But I did my high school back in my country and came over here. I wish I would have followed the Home Depot load or just took a lot of classes, learn about working with wood because I could have taken that skills within 5 or 10 years, go back to the motherland, made a business that could worth millions of dollars.
See, one thing I do regret also, I didn't take more wood shop classes back in high school
Mhm.
because I could have turned that in a career very easily, except becoming to being a
You, you,
chef
you
or
you get now you get it. It's the same thing I'm trying to mention right now. Workshop. Learn. different trade of which are whereby you know how to build a home, you know how to build furniture. Take that skills of DIY to the next level. Go back. You can say, you know what? I don't need to come away. Go over there, start a business before you know that people are flocking at your business like a huge number, and you cannot even keep up. You have to hire apprentice to learn from you so that you can keep the business because it's too much and overwhelming. There's a guy who did just that. This is a true story. The guy from Gambia. No, the guy, he's from Gabon, live in Texas. He learned a lot of building trade. He almost like you, the jack of all trade, but he's more like in the home improvement side of things.
Hmm.
Had a lot of clients in Texas. So when Trump came in his first term, how the guy deported, which a lot of people don't pay attention. This guy don't like African people, but want to do business in Africa, and Africa gave them the almighty platinum middle finger, like F you. We don't have no Trump hotel in Africa. They're the reason behind that. So he kicked the guy out, had him deported. Fine. He got deported. His client was pissed because this guy was the go-to guy for most of their project. He was an excellent home improvement kind of guy. So he got deported. He became a local celebrity because people had to realize how many people were calling or flying out to see what they could do and help him out. Little did he know, he ended up start using his skills to help finish other people's project in Gabon, which was done very poorly. He around to a trade whereby the so-called jack of trade, you can't be a jack of, you gotta be a specialist in something. Figure out what their strong point and trade on that one properly. He went back and after a year of taking a break from working, started taking care of certain projects. The guy was so much in business. He only allowed to do 20 projects a year because it's so much. The
All right,
guy
baby,
ended up
hang on.
becoming almost a multi-billionaire.
Yeah, let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. What is going on, Mr. 7B Nation President?
Doing okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, nice and clear.
Okay, cool.
What do you
Can
got
you
on
loud
this
and
topic
clear?
tonight?
What specifically? I haven't followed the flow.
Why
I'm
do
literally just jumping
we
on.
why do we stop listening to our elders? And I'll play the last video after you put your opening thoughts really fast. Or do you want me to play the last video anyway first?
Go ahead.
And I think that we have to just kind of, give our grandparents and our parents some grace, and instead of doing what I think the enemy wants us to do, which is to throw out our whole legacy, throw out everything, throw out all the wisdom from our elders, and only look at the things they might have done that could have been considered to be questionable. Stop doing that. Your elders hold the secrets to your freedom. Some of them have more freedom than you have with your little bullshit corporate job and your little student loans, and you can't get out the hole and you can't quit your job. You scared to death, but you had a granddaddy who owned 10 acres of farmland, who had all his bills paid, who didn't have no debt, who made sure that his family was taken care of. So stop looking down on your elders. That's your secret to why in the world are you listening to people who don't like you more than you're listening to people who loved you, the people who created you? That right there. I could literally finish the whole conversation on that. The fact that they got you to disconnect from your power base is one of the most sinister things they could have ever done to you. Absolutely horrible. And I think that we have to just kind of, get.
Go ahead, Paul.
Not necessarily feeling the spirit of which he's saying that. I think if you really want to apply wisdom to a situation, you have to evaluate your elders on what they did bad and what they did good. I think discernment is always something you have to take in mind. Again, they weren't perfect, and they do come from a different way of doing things. And so certainly this idea that, obey your, yes, you should certainly look for wisdom always. But even the wisdom that they had, again, if I can go spiritual a little bit,
Go ahead.
it wasn't theirs to begin with. So all wisdom comes from God. So any wisdom they may have had, they probably got it from some source or whatever. You keep going back and whatnot, and they probably got it from, the ultimate source of wisdom, which is God himself. And so, so I don't have to necessarily go back to my ancestors for that. If they applied it, great. And I could see an example of what they did and apply it to my life. But if they didn't, or if I have to certainly apply, myself to this current environment, which wasn't theirs, then I have to have wisdom and discernment and how to separate those things out. So so I'm not saying here, go screw your parents or your grandparents or your ancestors. I'm not saying that at all. Mm-hmm. But I should be intelligent enough. I should be informed enough to know, that may have worked in that time. They worked oftentimes in a different economic system than today. And in order to, to do certain things, I may have to apply differently. And again, if your ancestors were really trying to prep you, the idea is to prepare the next generation for the system and environment that they're in, not trying to get them to go back to what was yours. So I think you got to look at this I think you have to look at this in different ways. Now I would say this: I think when it comes to relationships, I think by and large, I don't think relationships change a whole lot. And we've talked about that as far as cooperation, submission, both of the man and the woman. That always is going to work. Woman knew what she had to do, and man knew what he had to do. And as long as you guys are, again, your oars are going to the same direction, then by all means, that'll never change. Mm-hmm. Respect never changes. Honor never changes. So there's certain things that are sort of cast in stone. But because I decide to take a career path that maybe my parents didn't do or what have you, and I'm chided because I decided to think outside the box a little bit, that can keep you bound also. We talked about this on the Gray Area show, where we talked about, now Dave, I don't know if you listened that night, but we were talking about, in Pete's family, for example, he was talking about how some family members were kind of, I would say, bigoted when it came to if you dated out. But then at the same time, we admire the cultures from which they came from because they sustained that culture for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And part of that was being a bit ethnic. And it more than anybody, being Yoruba, that, again, same country, probably even same state, you're Yoruba, you're Igbo, that can cause some problems with people. Now, you could be thinking, the higher revelation is, again, as human beings, should it matter? But you go against that, then sometimes you risk being ostracized from that culture because of some of the decisions that you make. Now, you're free to make those decisions, and you have to certainly live with the consequences of your decisions. But in that instance, am I disrespecting my ancestors because I choose to marry someone who may not be of the same? And even in the tribes, there's levels to this, right? I don't know if you would call it caste, but certainly I know Asian Indians, I know caste is a thing. So same country, same language, same ethnicity, same tribe or whatever, different caste. And that could be a problem. So are you disrespecting, not listening to your ancestors because you decide to go outside of that? I don't know if I can answer that for anybody. So again, I think you have to look at what specifically are we talking about. There's certain things, there's certain principles of life, which certainly myself and Coach will be talking about on our show Next Gen Training this Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on the Sparta HQ Network. What we're going to be mostly talking about is things that it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what sport you're doing or what career path or educational path that you're going in. A lot of our show is going to be based on things that we know that are sort of time tested and true, and you would do well to take heed of what we'll be sharing with you. But I think we have a problem when you have parents who try to dictate every decision of someone's life. And then kids are also right to go back and point out, yeah, mom, dad, you were wrong. Grandparents, you were wrong. I think generally in this country, we've seen the last 50 years, there's certainly been a lot of upheavals because, again, the greatest generation and all the things that we were told, especially around Vietnam. I'm literally, like I said, I'm a history buff. I love, like they said, the Vietnam era, the Nixon era, the Watergate era. That's just one of my favorite portions of history.
Oof,
and the whole country was just being in upheaval because they found out that they were lied to. So coming out of World War II, there was a great national pride that created the baby boom generation. It's at that time we put "In God We Trust" on our money, and we put it in our pledge. Under God was not in the original pledge of the United States until 1954. And "In God We Trust" was not on our money until 1954.
But unfortunately, it also came out recently too.
What's
and
that?
the funny thing the funny that the Paul is saying that nobody knows that history better than he does.
No. What I'm saying is, recently, I'm not sure how long ago was it. They removed in one God or whatever it is that goes in the place. They removed it in high schools. They cannot say in one God anymore.
Yeah, well, under God.
Under God, thank you. You know what I mean?
So they started, but again, it was never there. So again, for all the people who say, "Oh, well, we're taking God out of public schools and this and that or whatever," again, your pledge didn't have under God in it until 54. But there was a large, certainly patriotic, nationalistic rhetoric that we basically thought that God was on our side, especially after the great success after World War II. But then we ran into a stalemate because there was another little war, 1951 to 54, the Korean War. That was basically a stalemate, and people weren't feeling as good about things anymore. And then there was something called the Vietnam War, which actually started in the 50s. That slowly escalated over time, and then we found out with the Pentagon Papers released in 1971 by Daniel Ellsberg that what are we doing here? And so people started to look at. Yeah, like I said, I eat this stuff for breakfast. I've been watching Nixon live interviews, Watergate interviews. Like I said, that whole period of time, because that time in the 60s was such a pivotal moment in American history in that you had the civil rights movement going on in the mid 50s through the mid 60s. Women's rights was also on the table during that time. The Vietnam War and all those things. So there were so many things that were going on where the social fabric of the country was being challenged because you had the old guard, the silent majority, that was very conservative and very patriotic and everything. And then you had these people were labeled hippies and all this kind of stuff, and they were labeled as the outcasts and whatnot. You had shows about it. If you ever watch All in the Family, Archie Bunker, that was that whole thing. Michael and Archie, that was that dynamic at the time. And so, yeah, so you had a period of time when people started to reject that which was maybe told to them, good and bad. I'm not saying that everything that the OGs and the ancestors said was wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think with everything, I think you have to be mature enough to look for at everything, look for ultimate truth, and then hold everyone accountable to that truth. But you can't do that unless you know the truth for yourself. And so I think one of the issues was, especially in that time and going forward, is we were told things that we found out later maybe weren't necessarily true. We were taught family values, but then you go to your dad's funeral and you meet that other side of the family that you didn't think was there. Now, remember when your boy King, when he came on Black Man Unfiltered's network, talking about, yeah, he grew up in a very religious home.
Oh God, yeah. I so surprised at that, and he's nowhere near.
But then his mom and dad weren't necessarily acting righteous. And then you see how he views religion in general today.
Yeah, it was more his mom than his dad.
Well, I'm just saying his dad certainly knew about a lot of stuff, didn't tell. I mean, there was just a lot of things. I mean,
that's what you mean. Yeah.
Complicated situation. I don't want to get too far in this business. People can go look at that show if they want to. But the idea here is that, again, we were told things, but it wasn't always necessarily acted upon. And then we got into this model as, well, do as I say and not as I do kind of thing.
And I think that's bullshit, to be honest with you, Paul.
Well, I'm just saying, but that's kind of what that is. And so again, I think that so all those factors, we talked about this before, the rapid change in technology, the rapid change in economy,
AI right now.
That's another one. And so people were like, it got to a point where, and again, a lot of this came with the older generations. The baby boom generation told the Gen Xers to go to college. So the guy was talking about, yeah, well, your dad had 10 acres of land. Well, why wasn't that land, if he in fact owned it, why wasn't I brought up in such a way to inherit that land? First of all, not everybody had land like that. So again, if you were blessed to be in that situation and you walk away from that, that's one thing. But for a lot of us, we worked in the fields as sharecroppers or whatnot. Then we got into the factories. And those folks who was that blue collar generation, or we worked at the GM plant, the Ford plants, or whatever. And the thing that we wanted more so than anything was for not our kids to not do what we did. And guess what? We didn't. The aspiration of a baby boomer primarily was for his kids to go to school, get an education, become an engineer, become something else other than the guy who he was talking about. So who's responsible for that? If you did own that 10 acres of land and you didn't train up your children in such a way to inherit that land and keep it going, whose fault is that?
You.
So again, people can say stuff. He can go and do his ramble and rant about this, that, and the third. I'm not saying he's completely wrong. But yes, wisdom should always be pursued. And again, I'm very specific about wisdom. I think we get this confused a lot of times. There's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Wisdom is the best because you don't have to pay the cost to get it. So again, if you go out there on your own and do it, you get consequences, and experience is your reward for you going out there doing it yourself. If you get wisdom, then that means you save yourself a whole lot of headaches and a whole lot of problems that you would have saved yourself from had you went out there and did it on your own. So wisdom is certainly important. And yes, we should definitely listen for wisdom. But we have also, as a parent, as for me and my girls, I have, like I've said before, I have to prepare my daughters for the world that they are in. I can give them basic principles like marriage. Marriage doesn't change. I don't care. You're going to be, I'm going to have a doctor. I got someone in supply chain. I got a finance person. Doesn't matter how successful that you get. Marriage does not change. The fundamentals of what keeps a marriage together: loyalty, love, honor, respect. That will never change. Submission to one another, that will never change. I don't care, but I don't care though who wears the pants. I don't. I mean, if you go out there and make the bag, fine with me. But are you still going to come and make and form a relationship that works? But breadwinner and all that, look, we're in a different generation now. Like I said, I know people where the guy stays home and the woman goes out and makes the money. I could care less about that. Manosphere, they all flipping out over that. Oh man, then he's a simp. He's a beta male and all this kind of stuff. Say all you want to. Half those guys aren't even married. or complain they can't get a woman. So the logistics in terms of how it works, that can change. Technology changes. Tools change. Principles don't. Hard work, discipline, those things don't change. But at this point now, I wouldn't want my girls to do, companies that do that, bring your daughters or bring your kids to work there and whatnot. I knew a while ago. I don't want my kids to do what I do, and I'm in the IT field. But I know kind of with the AI and everything that's going, I would tell anybody, be very careful if you go into a computer science or a technical major. Be very careful and look down the road to see will AI replace it someday. Or someone who works overseas for a fraction of the cost could replace someday. You got to be very careful about those kind of things. So again, I'm looking at the world as it is and where it's going. And I give my kids principles that I hope that they will listen to. But outside of that, what career that I don't care. The career that you have, go with what your interests are. Even to the point now, look, I love the brothers. I would love all my daughters to marry smart, educated, intelligent black men. I made that pretty known. But if they marry whoever, I don't care. If they are loved, marry who loves you. But again, I'm still that dude from the 80s and the 90s. I'm still that pro black dude. So yeah, I want brothers marrying my daughters. But if they find love elsewhere, what am I going to do about it?
I'm just curious. I know it's never going to happen. I'm just curious. Out of curiosity. Let's say one of your daughters brings a long bearded, good looking Greek man in house. You gonna call me? You gonna look at me like help or advice or like fuck me?
No, I'm gonna look at him for who he is, and judge him based on who he is. Like I said, I look at every human being as a human being.
Yeah.
I look for character. I look for all those attributes as a human being.
Let me add a little more to the story. It comes up to you, goes, Pops. Oh man.
No, you can't do that. Not until he can call me all that. He can't call me that. In fact, it's interesting. My daughter's boyfriend, he did that one time, a couple years ago. He called me dad. Now, again, I didn't flip. I said, look, I appreciate that. And he's a good kid. I mean, if he put it this way, if he got to a point where he wanted to propose or he came to me and said, I like, to marry your daughter or whatever, my thing is probably more on her than him. I like, and he's good. He's good with my wife. He's good with the other siblings and whatnot. So he's there. Just get some things worked out career wise and whatnot, and take care of some things, but character is there. But I just told him, like, I appreciate that, but you call me dad when I walk her down the aisle and I give her to you. And he never called me dad again. I wasn't angry about it. I just kind of had to do a little level set. That until you put a ring on it and until I walk it down, because again, everybody's got a ring. Black women especially, they're the queens of engagements. I'm talking about like Ric Flair. You have to walk that aisle, style and profile, get up there, say I do, and go through all of that. And then,
Woo!
That's right. And then you can call me dad. Until then, it's Mr. Bennett and no exceptions.
Oh, so you have to, everybody calls you a Mr. B or Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, they don't call me Paul. They don't call me, no, none of that. Nah,
what happened with them coming up to Papa Smurf?
No. I think Mr. Bennett is that fits. And yeah, so I set those parameters. Like I said, I set some ground rules, but I let
this be a little bit different of age. Grab me, and this is a good example actually for what we're talking about tonight, because every girlfriend of mine that I met, the father obviously has always put that little law. I always start calling Mr. by the last name, like you, like Mr. Bennett, Mr. Groot, and so on. and there's like if after like the first time, like that's it, enough. Or ma'am or sir, go that's enough. Just don't call me ma'am. Don't call me by my last name. I feel too fucking old. And just call me by my first name.
Mhm.
Whatever, Jeff, John, Kelly, Kim,
Mhm.
whatever. Do you think that is part of the different generations where me and you are a little bit? Well, not much difference, but a little difference. Little.
Um,
Or you should think maybe they are a little more
it's all about what you negotiate. So again, in that situation, he called me dad. Again, it wasn't malicious. I
No.
know he wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but just to let me know that he looked at me with great affection.
I think it was respect more than anything.
Indeed, but then respect is what the other person prefers. So again, if I called if I called you Pete and said no, my name is Peter. Well, I know guys who is like their name is James. No, don't call me Jimmy. Respect says, again, I honor that how you want me to relate to you. You want me to call me by whatever, your full name, your proper name, or if you have a nickname, call me this, call me Ghost, call me whatever. I'll go with that. I generally, even when I meet people who are younger than me, I generally address them by their surname. So like David's 10 years younger than me, I will say, hello, Mr. Onyewu. What's Ayeni? Mr. Ayeni, how are you? If he said no, call me David or call me Bear Paw or call me whatever his name is, Groot. Then from that point on, we got that. But I give that to you until you decide to change that dynamic. You may greet me and say, hello, Mr. Bennett. I can say, call me Paul. And we go from there.
I've never thought it like that, to be honest with you. The way you broke it down today. Respect is the way you want to be called. And I always say, I can't, any of my girlfriend's ex-girlfriend's parents, I can't do that. It's out of respect, yada, yada, yada. He says, I really prefer you call me by my first name, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about like that.
And that's what I say, call me Bear Paw.
Yeah. So if that's how, so when David's daughter, in a few years, she brings that boyfriend home or whatever.
Or granddaughter.
Or you have daughter, right?
He has a granddaughter too.
And granddaughter. Okay, so they come home and say, look, I want you to meet my dad. And he's gonna say what he's gonna define the terms. And how that young man responds, yes, sir, Mr. Ayene. Yes, sir, Mr. Bear Paw, Mr. Black David, Mr. CB, whatever that is. I'm looking for that. If he tried to come up, yo, what up, OG, and all that, I'm like, excuse me, sir. Not off the rip. In fact, one of my daughter's exes, he kind of came up. This was at Thanksgiving. Came over and he was just addressing people. He met her brother, who's big. He's like 6'6" and 250. He's like, man, you big as F. Off the rip, you saying that? No, to my brother-in-law. And we looking like. Now again, did he mean it out of malice? He just said, "Wow, like yeah, he's a big guy."
I would never say that.
But again, there's levels. So again, you have to come in with stuff. You have to give before you get.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, respect is not earned.
It's given.
Respect is given. And then you get back in return in reciprocation to what you give.
Yeah, I would never go up to it. Like, even when I first met you, you're like, oh shit, you're a big fucking tall motherfucker. I never said that to you. I gave you a hug, whatever, a bro hug, called it a day. And we got in your car. I went on our way. The second time, same thing. Like, I met your wife. I think I was very respectful towards your wife. I hope so. She didn't throw anything at me yet, so that's a good sign. Usually,
you're on the good side so far.
Keyword so far.
As long as you don't call your mom to throw the ninja star again.
Shut up over there.
So yeah. So that's how I see it. So I think that I think again that history. Going back to the history real quick, I think it did a lot where people started to question what they were taught religiously. Again, did the religion add up to what they were being taught? I find it interesting, especially for all these people saying, yeah, we need to go back to prayer in public schools. I'm saying this. Okay, so when was prayer taken out of public schools? It was taken out of public schools in 1964. How many black people want to go back to America pre-1964? And I find it interesting that in Little Rock, Arkansas, where the first schools were integrated in Little Rock, Arkansas, President Eisenhower had to send 10,000 troops to Arkansas so that for 4 children, black children, could go to school, not to end a riot, but to go to school.
I remember that.
Now, mind you, if this is in 1957, you're in the Bible Belt where they do prayer in public school. Well, if you're doing prayer in public school, then why would you need to send 10,000 troops down there? You should have the love of Jesus in your heart and welcome those kids into your school. If in fact you have the love of Jesus.
Good point.
But the fact that people's lives are threatened because little kids want to go to school, that shows me everything I need to know about your religion. And so why then would I want to follow, when I see that I'm a young person, why do I want to follow that? So this guy's talking about, well, give your parents and OGs some grace. No, sometimes the older generation also needs to apologize to the young. Yeah, we messed this up. Mm-hmm. And again, and we know we got parents like that. When your parents will never apologize. They say how a parent apologizes, they just start being nice to you. You come home, here's a little slice of cake, Jimmy.
Honestly, now you mention that, now I think about it.
Has your mom ever all the stuff that you has your mom ever said, I'm sorry? Has she ever said that to you? Heartfelt, I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have hit you. I shouldn't have thrown the phone at you. I shouldn't have hit you with the frying pan.
You know what?
I shouldn't have went at you with the,
it's fun. Thanks for giving my PTSD back now, Paul, with a frying pan. But I even actually had this conversation with her. Shut up, David, before I slap you. I don't care how big your fingers are. I gotta wait, cut those little. I'm going numbly soon. I have to cut them off. So I even had a conversation with her once to go, you know what? We argue. Like, yeah, what's your point? I'm like, you throw shit at me. Like, yeah, what's your point? You never apologize. Like, well, you started a fight always. I'm looking at like, how do I start a fight? Because it's simple. You're my son. You're always wrong, and I'm never wrong. I'm always right. She goes. Mm-hmm. But when I ask her when you are wrong, she goes to me, well, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So yeah, I'm still right. I'm like, I can win here. I can win.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
But again, I think both would do well if they simply, everybody own their stuff.
I agree.
Why parents cannot apologize? I think I had to do this Saturday. Said some things, whatever, was a little out of pocket, whatever. I had pulled my daughter. Said, you know what? I'm sorry. I said that, and I just took the L. But it's like but it's something. I didn't lose my temper. I said the wrong thing, or I spoke a little out of pocket, and she took it the way she took it, and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I apologize. And I'm still here. I don't have bullet holes. I don't have, burns. I don't have scars on me because of whatever. Because I apologized. Mm-hmm. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it happens on every level. The grownest people in the world. We talk about Pete Rose on our sports show on the BMU Network tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, the one-on-one sports show. Talked about last time, Pete Rose. They're talking about now the baseball lifted off the ban where now he can be eligible for the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose could have been in the Hall of Fame 25 years ago if he simply owned, yes, I did it, and I apologize. But he fought it. He criticized the commissioner. He criticized the league. Everybody's a witch hunt. Everybody's out to get me. So even adults don't learn that, again, just Nixon. If he would apologize, yep, that was an illegal act, the Watergate break-in, all that stuff, the plumbers, it shouldn't have happened. I apologize. He probably could have saved his presidency. But he fought tooth and nail. No, you can't have the tapes. No, you can't have this and that, and fire the AGs and fire this person, and just tried to, control the situation. And people lost faith in their government. So again, you think things are toxic now? Go back to politics from 1969 to 1974. That is the birth of the cynicism in American politics. It started with the Nixon administration. Because, again, he could not own up to what he did wrong.
So here's my little pushback on this. Not really a pushback, more I'm sorry?
I have to agree on that because I had the same sentiment that with the
David, lower your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear.
I had the same sentiment because Paul said something very clear. To have an elder who think they can never be wrong, and let me you determine to say, yes, you can be wrong because you're not perfect. If you were perfect, then the situation would be different. So I had to have that conversation with my mom too as well, and let her be know that there's something you are not perfect. I had to keep quiet and bring to your attention humbly. But now, if you cannot accept my observation saying that you were wrong with these things and they would lead to, and let's try to mend the bird, then I'll be right to keep my distance.
And
Yeah, discernment. Paul said totally correct. Yeah, you discernment.
Yeah. And the irony of all of this is we're talking about wisdom from the OGs, but the OGs should know better. I expect this out of a young person or a teenager. But you have these older people who can be so immature. They're too prideful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So that's the irony of it. So you're saying listen to the wisdom of the OGs, but the OGs aren't applying wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think that's I think that's definitely part of it. But again, if you're not to the best of your ability, if you're not going to be the example, if you're not going to be the bridge builder, if you're not going to be the adults lead. They take the lead.
So, David, Paul, you mentioned earlier, earlier, like maybe a few minutes ago, back in the 50s, it was worse with the governments and all that stuff, correct?
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, it's just the root of a lot of the social ills is started, or at least the revelation. It might have always been bad, but it really came to the floor with those generations, certainly in the 60s and the Vietnam era.
Yeah, I disagree one bit with what you're saying. I agree 100%. But I also think now we're going back to that same time back then in current time with everything that's going on in political, religion, everything. I think we took 10 steps back, maybe more, and we're backwards, except going forward. Am I making sense here?
Well, it's a pivot. It's like a pendulum. You had a pendulum on one side. It may have swung a little bit too far to the other side.
Okay.
And then people push back. Look at the political situation. I don't talk politics much here, but I'm just saying. But just look at the last 3 elections.
Yeah.
4 or 5 and 3-4 election cycles. It went Obama for that, and people started feeling a certain way. They brought in another person. Didn't like that. They went to another old guy. Now they went back to the other guy. The next time around, it could be a totally different radical person. So again, I think just like with everything else, we didn't get here as a nation, as a people, without these these upheavals, these changes, and history's been defined by you had the Dark Ages, you had the Renaissance period, you had the colonial period, you had the revolutionary periods. Right? In France, you had the oligarchs who were like running everything. And you had the revolutions. You had in Africa, you had all the colonial powers. There came a time. So again, there's always going to be like an uprising. But generally that's caused by people who have selfish ambition that you have. And especially now, because again, there used to be a succession of power, of control, of assets, of leadership, even in families. I've talked about this before. The idea, if you had sons, you were supposed to bring your sons up to replace you.
Mm-hmm.
But now the OGs want to stay in power so long, so they want to stay in power, and then they have weakened sons because they never gave their sons the responsibility, and then they complain about the weak sons that they raised.
Very true. Very, very, very true.
Biology even teaches us this. But in biology, cells replicate to be stronger than the previous ones. Why do you think we have vaccines? Or why do you have to keep getting why do you get the flu shot every year if you take the flu shot? Because they're survivors. Or they mutate to adapt to the vaccine, so now you got to come up with a vaccine to take those guys out. You're supposed to produce a bigger, stronger, faster, better generation than the one before you. But a lot of OGs want to hold on to power. Think about it. The last two presidents we've had is 150 years old combined in age. And, God bless the previous president. I understand he's got some health problems right now and whatnot. But still, everyone talks about this young generation. We go back to these old guys.
Just stupid.
Because we don't want to give over to younger voices in leadership and whatnot. We go back to these people who make us feel good.
And I mentioned this in the gray area too, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we vote people are half dead?
Yeah. Thinking experience is there. Look, nothing wrong with experience, but again, you should get to the point where you need to be Yoda. Right? Yoda, and said that one time we saw him in Attack of the Clones, he had in Revenge of the Sith, yeah, he had to get into the fight a little bit, but Yoda's supposed to be like Ben Kenobi. You supposed to be the OG on the side who comes up every once in a while in the ghost form, gives the young guys some wisdom. So they can go out there and do the fighting. You're not supposed to be fighting. You're not supposed to be the director. There should be a point in time when you're supposed to be the executive producer. I handle the money. Y'all go out there because I ain't getting on the set for 14 hours a day. I'm not getting out there doing all this stuff here. Here's the money. Now y'all go and do it. I'm chilling.
Facts.
But these guys hang on forever. It happens in churches. You got these popes. I mean, no disrespect to the church, but I'm saying even the guy they get now, he's 69. I mean, how long do you expect him to last? Why not have a 40, 45-year-old young G in there? So again, we that's also causing a lot of strain with the generations because the younger generation is saying, well, when is going to be my turn? And it's the unfortunate thing is the generation saying when it's going to be my turn. And the reality is they haven't been trained properly for it to be their turn because the OGs aren't necessarily teaching them what they need to know. So it is their turn.
Facts.
So until there has to be concession on all sides. Humility has to be across the board. Young people, yeah, you're not as smart as you think you are. You don't know a lot of things that you think you know. But OGs have to humble themselves and say, I need to keep it 100 with you, and look, this is what you need to do to be successful in life. And like I said, and like I said earlier, I have to go. It's going to be a short show for me. But as I said, certainly this coming Thursday, 9:30 p.m. here on the Smart HQ Network, Next Gen Training, myself and Coach Ferg, we're going to be hopefully sharing some nuggets that younger people, or even some OGs that still have some life, that there's some principles that hopefully you can take in as you get it and maybe apply what you need to your life. Supermarket approach, take what you need. But we're trying to give back, but take it as you will. So, gentlemen, like I said, I got to run, but certainly continue the dialogue. Great show as always. I'll see you guys certainly over the weekend, and also, daughter graduates this Thursday. That's my last one, so I'm done with the graduations and whatnot. So I got one out, and then one goes to medical school in August. So again, looking to prep her and get her ready for that. So lots of activity going on here. But yeah, man,
Question:
definitely
is she
in
going
effect.
to medical school, stateside or overseas?
In overseas, St. George Medical School in Grenada. My niece actually graduated there last year. She's now an OB in Orlando right now. So she's is good because she's got people who've gone there. They know the lay of the land. And again, if she applies some wisdom that she gets from those who've gone before her, that's going to increase her chances of doing very well. So there it is, man. All right. You guys have a good night.
Have a good
Continue
night.
the conversation. I will catch you guys later. Peace.
As he gets out of here, I'm going to play the
And
next
that
video
is a
for
mic drop moment.
you. Right, David?
Is the data that they take with them. So,
Yeah.
for example, when a 100-year-old person dies, if they never got to tell their stories or share their knowledge with someone, we lose it. There's no getting that back. You know what I'm saying? That's all data, a lifetime's worth of data that's just lost. So that's why it's good to, take time and speak to your elders and learn from them and see what they've been through.
Okay. Let me think on that.
Go for it.
Now I'm glad what that guy said. The data, that information, that are details where you can take. It's like say you're going to a file. You want to scan through the information we and see if there's something in there that you can actually utilize for your own advantage. Because every war general take record from past war and try to learn and understand how they generally ever navigate through certain situations so they can see they can apply certain aspects or certain logic into the play. Mr. Paul Bennett drop a lot of gems. But not all Jews, not all these elders are elder because sometimes you have to use discernment, but sometimes you have to use discernment and wisdom and insight to understand what you're being told and take it and see what you can remove, what you can keep. And what he's saying was totally correct because we in a generation right now, we have so-called OGs who are not really OGs because they don't know how to humble themselves and admit when they make mistakes so we can learn from the mistakes so we don't have to repeat it. The idea if any parents that's come out of their mouth, oh, I'm never wrong, that person I will not want to listen to. If you think you're always right, no, I would say I'll be consistent. That's my faith. I'm not perfect, but I'll do my best to be consistent. And I always hope that what I tell you, it don't come back and hurt you. But if you think I'm wrong, then I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then you can do your own thing. But if I'm not wrong, but what I'm telling you, and it turn out what it is, I don't want to hear a switch like I did not know. I make sure I inform you about these things to be aware of so you don't make the mistake that either I or those before me have made. You can see the warning in a band so you can dodge it. That's the aspect of getting information and data from your elders. Even though society may have changed, something never leaves, something remained the same. I want to learn about history. History shows a pattern that takes place over the period of time. But you already know that that particular pattern have a bad habit of repeating itself, regardless of which era it is. But you can learn the pattern and understand how to sense it or either receive it or be aware when it comes down your path. So you not to either dodge or maneuver around it. So when you mentioned about you have a level of contradiction, I've been saying this for the longest. Why we vote for people who are close to their graves? What would they understand? They ever with the phrase where they say you can't teach a new dog, an old dog to new tricks?
Absolutely.
They're referring to people like what we have right now in the White House. This past being an old dog. You better put that dog down. But these old dogs think they can outsmart, outmaneuver. Please, you want hipster way of collapsing. Hello.
You're an asshole.
Nah, I'm not an asshole. I'm an ass kicker. I gotta be brutally, unfilteredly honest, regardless of how you feel, and tell you something that I'm seeing for myself from being in a shadow for too long and observing, like, dude, it's not going to work. And you want to argue? I'm like, that's fine. Just do me a favor. When shit hit the fan and what I take that's the ring in your head, don't come to me and apologize. I want to accept it from you.
Hmm.
I want you to dwell in your misery and don't come near me. Period. Because I learned in life, sometimes there's no point in giving people wisdom who don't want to accept it because they will throw it back in your face. So I had to keep my word to myself and only give it to those who actually want to hear what I got to say. Cause hear the kicker of the story, what I've been noticing so far. Anyone who is not blood related to me, for some apparent reason, take the wisdom I give to them much better and run with it than those who are blood related to me. I noticed that for a while. I was like, why is that?
I'll be honest with you about that, David. People who are not blood to me are more closer to me and have my back more than people who actually have my fucking are blood to me. And I mentioned that multiple times on this streams we've been doing since on this network. Why is that okay?
I've been
Family
trying to
burns.
fix that. I try not to blow my brain up, but from thinking about it for too long, what I did before in the past, like it doesn't make any sense. I would
No,
I
it
would
does.
think that you want to take the advice of those who related to who see it before you see it, so you can maneuver and succeed. But no, they brush you off. So I would tell myself, you know what? I rather keep my mouth shut and just go to the grind. And
So there's no saying in Greece. The people who make you laugh are out there to make do harm to you, and the people who make you cry, they're out there to protect you.
mhm, meaning,
What do you think that means,
kind of
Tiger?
like the one that make you laugh, make you weak. The one that make you cry, make you strong.
Something like that. So the people who make you laugh are gonna backstab you the first chance they get, take everything from you. The people who make you cry are gonna protect you, make sure you hang on to whatever you work for or whatever the case is at
And
the
that's the
time.
thing. It make you strong. Real strength is not always strength. Is having the will of what I know what this means. I know what it is. People think not really. This when I tell about the power, what they call animal characteristic, the lion who like to, yeah, but most lions get jumped by hyenas, or they get jumped by rhino. I never saw a video when I saw a lion got. Yo, you ever see a lion got knocked up in the air a couple of times? I like, yo,
Nope.
I saw videos like that. This lion got in the wrong territory. It was getting manhandled. I don't know what, I forgot what feature of animal that is. They were just talking a lion in the air like you thought you were the king of the jungle. You come to my turf doing that. I'm like, oh, I want to be that lion. And what I like Black Panthers. Black Panther know when to attack, when not to attack. Then I go
I mean, yes, Black Panther was your favorite movie.
the first one.
Why did you like the second one?
Mm, Storyline wise, I did not connect well with it.
I think you were still more in the loss of the actor.
That's one part, but the bigger part is the storyline. I feel that you could have found someone who can fit in, but it didn't. It didn't hold on well to me. The first one was very iconic for a specific thing, but it had a lot of underlying message that people were not paying attention. And funny, when I went to the movie theater to watch it, we got on the cab home. We had someone who joined on the cab with us, the Uber. They were asking me questions left and right about my culture. I said, this is something that have been going on for the past couple of decades. There is divide for some kind of reason, but it's meant to keep people from connecting to their roots, so to speak. Now, what's going on back in my motherland? Oh, the European, the what they call AKA colonizer, they're getting kicked out. They're like, F you. And the moment they get kicked out and they took over their resources, their wealth shoot up to the roof. And
So I assume you kinda what it's called in the movie is fake.
say that again?
I'm being a smartass there. I said you kinda. I can't pronounce the fucking name in the movie Black Panther.
Yeah.
Um, that's a fake thing in Africa, right? I was being a smartass. I know it's fake.
Wakanda is fake, but Stan Lee was putting that out there as to project something because somebody did an interview with him that said he see Africa as a giant that the world is looking down on for too long.
Hmm.
Not just because of that natural resources they have, but the level of attention they will acquire over time. Let's be real, out here in the US, a lot of the best doctors who are top of their league are mostly coming from my country, Nigeria, who apply so much emphasis on their theory and their practical, the level of perfection. They want to make sure they master what they learn. Some of the best engineers are Nigerian. It's like it's not just only Nigerian. The guy who created the internet is actually from Ghana. There are a lot of invention or discovery that have been done that people want to get credit to because of their origin. They are afraid to mention certain people who contributed to today's society are not white. They want to claim like really what's really going on with that? Like, are you insecure of not being able to be of that caliber? You're not all the same. But yet
That's true.
but yet I say this when I was in high school. Like there will come a time that we are leadership that it will learn from past mistakes and learn to what people have not been capitalized on or make sure it will do something completely different will throw you off.
Yeah.
Well, you have the guy called Ibrahim Torre. What he's doing right now is kind of like, and I talked about it when I was in high school. Right now I'm 46, and he executed exactly just that. Like, what's hard to understand that? This
Nothing.
man listened to his elder. He listened to history. He he said enough is enough. Took over his nation. and in less than 2 years made it better than some of these old skeletons that are walking. If they make one twist, they gotta get another hip replacement. If they were trying to run up the staircase, God forbid, the man it break way more bone than it's supposed to break.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There's a domino effect. All right, David, let's get into our final thoughts and let's get the heck out of here.
My
All right.
final thought is this: not every old person is an elder. That is a fact. But those who are considered elder are people who walk in a level of wisdom and insight. They carry themselves with a level of integrity. They're different from many other who are in their age class, who are how we want to say, they're not egotistic, but they're very humble. They're willing to sit down with you, share their mistake with you, and tell what they learned from the mistake, and why they hope that you don't repeat what they did. There are not so many elders in today's time because a lot of these old folks are competing with the young generation. Like you have all these old grandma going to the club trying to look young. Like, ew, who want to date a mummy? Um,
You're an asshole.
you don't know that?
You've been in like a top A asshole this week.
Trust me, I chose not to be nice no more. 'Cause I got sick and tired of trying to be nice. When you nice with a lot of people and people that take advantage of your kindness, it kind of like you don't realize there's actually a dark black hair.
All right, Derek, finish your
I'm
final
just telling
thoughts,
you, I'm just
please.
saying. But what I'm trying to point out is this: information is key, wisdom is key. Without those two things, from learning from the older generation, you gotta have it worse than they did. It's a given. But you discernment. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Other than that, this black bear paw is out there to man. That's my final thought. And like you say, thank you for watching.
All right. Just hear him out. Take a minute and listen to him, and just don't think, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's too old to understand this. Hear him out. They might know what they're talking about. Might know more than you think. Because they're old doesn't mean they're outdated. So let's get it, our schedule update really fast. David, you want to go over tomorrow's show really fast?
Tomorrow's show we are touching a iconic anime, which is not a cartoon, but was almost got forgotten. Because when we were talking about all these OGs anime that have an impact to today's anime we're watching, there's one in particular had an impact on a particular franchise that it never got a chance to go through a reboot, which is one of the many few that me and Wally have talked about. And we are kind of wondering because think about it. He-Man got reboot. Thundercat got reboot. Voltron, Transformer, and this one was way older, but around it makes you want to wonder what the issue. But it's a cool anime, and to find out it's almost hard to find now. But I found out even more strange. Just like Mask, it's
Hmm.
just like Mask. When you look for any website where you can watch all these OG cartoons, it becoming more and more difficulty. That you notice that, right?
Not as mass, but let's say Escafone is very hard to find now. You can't find anything on Escafone. All right, I'm looking forward to listening to the conversation because I'll be relaxing through my couch or my bed tomorrow night. It's been a very long week already. So and on Thursday, the new show generally oh shit, what did they call it? Do you remember what it was called? I'm having a brain fart now. It's
Really,
been a
you
long
having a
day.
brain fart? Oh shoot! That's way too much gas in the brain.
David.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Boom, blazing middle finger.
David's not gonna tell us what the show
I
title is
forgot.
because I can't remember.
I forgot it myself because I gotta go back.
Oh yeah, fuck you too now.
Right now, I'm not looking into the schedule. You were looking into it, and then I was like, okay.
The schedule is one thing. It doesn't tell me the name of the show. It tells me the name of the show. It doesn't tell me the name of the series.
It's a new show between Mr. Paul Bennett and Coach Firth, and I'm looking forward to listen. But even I myself forgot what the name of the show it is because watching those two when they sit down and they talk.
Next Generation Training. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I was close. So they will be talking about tomorrow's first episode will be about the power of words. Sweet, interesting one. And David on Saturday, he wants to talk about. Yes, this is your idea, so you're running the show. Legend of Optimus Prime. So yeah, and we are having a gray area. I gotta figure out what title I'm doing still.
Even though that was my idea about it, because that was a part of the debate, how that one character drag a franchise to present time. Yeah, remember we had that discussion how when they deleted him, how many kids terrorized their parent and the parent terrorized the production.
Wow. All right, so
Come on, you can't argue that. You were there too.
No, I watched the movie later on. Actually, that was a little later on.
Yeah,
For
but
me.
you were surprised how.
Don't forget, 85 when that came out, I was just being born.
I know, but think about it. 80 when that character alone forced a franchise to go that long. I was like, the same way you and Water was going back and forth about Vegeta, and you can see why Water was so adamant. But no, yeah, it's true. Vegeta was supposed to be killed off in the Dragon Ball Z because of the same effect happened. No, he cannot die. Gosh.
All right. So David will be running a show, and next week we'll be back on Tuesday from now on. Where's my title? Stop judging others. The power of the power of words.
Judging others? Oh boy.
Yeah, we're gonna go there.
We need to bring in some intellectual on that part because the
Hey,
word judge.
I think we're gonna have a hard time getting people
I
on
know,
the
I know.
show on a
That word,
Tuesday now.
the word judge. How many times people got into fight over that? No, let's be real. You know that very well. And you have one who want to fight with the supreme judge. Says, no, I want to have it my way. I'm a man, baby.
Anyway, any last words before we go?
Last word. Whoever changed his diaper in the White House, I feel sorry for you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Will you drop that already? All right, guys. As always, this was a Spartan Execute Network. I am Ghost of Sparta. He is
Bear Paw.
Baby Groot, who wants to be changed his diaper right now.
No,
And
it is
as
Bear
always,
Paw.
stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.